Hey, what's up, YouPewbs? It's Chrome Trigger back at it again with another amazing video. But today, I have some news, relatively new, okay? Today we'll be talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now, for many of you, Dragon Ball series has been the most amazing series of anime history. It's one of the biggest franchises in anime history. And if you haven't seen Dragon Ball, you need a life. Because Dragon Ball is the biggest. And I mean, let me rephrase this. The biggest franchise. Because it's just amazing. The story, the plot, you got the characters, memorable moments in the series, everything about the whole thing there is just amazing. And in this video, I will explain to you why, from the least to the greatest, what I expect in the new DBZ game. So let's get to it. Number 4, the graphics. Alright, graphically, the games leading up to this point have tremendously been upgraded. They keep having a clear, crisp contrast between the games, especially when it comes into the DBZ franchise. Now, as you can see from the earlier games, like from the Game Boy to the Nintendo, all the way up until PS2, and even the Xbox One and PS4 and other consoles, we've seen a lot of graphics that have been upgraded. I mean, graphically wise, in that portion, it has been totally awesome, and it's been really, really good. However, there is one portion of the graphics that has not changed, and that is CGI. When I mean CGI, I'm talking about explosions and whatnot. I have yet to see the newer DBZ games come up with bigger explosions, more realistic things that I cherished in the previous games like Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3 that have not really fully been developed. It's almost as if they've completely ignored the CGI in the game, because it's only a little thing, but it's big when it comes onto the screen, and it matters when it comes to gameplay, and also when it comes to choosing different characters and seeing different types of key blasts and different types of interactions with the players. I mean, all that just adds up, and it just turns the game into a graphically intensive game, and it also just severely upgrades the game, because, you know, other games like Battlefield 1 coming out, I mean, it's just, that game, it's gonna have no problem with CGI, because that game is gonna have so much content to it, and so many planes, and so many things going on at once, that players are gonna be fully satisfied with the CGI. I mean, explosions wise and debris falling everywhere, I mean, it's basically a perfect game. But when I look into DBZ games, like, not even with Tenkaichi 3 and Tenkaichi 2 was I fully satisfied, because I still saw that there was a few moments in the game that, you know, when you use the Kamehameha wave, you're expecting, if you're aiming at the ground or even at the person, because we've seen it in the show, Goku has used his Kamehameha and Somai has flown to space. We've seen it before, to where if it does interact with the environment, it should explode or create something. It had to do something. But there was one map in particular that if you did use one of your specials, I remember in Tenkaichi 2, I believe, was Namek. And once you used your Kamehameha, it turned into Dynamic, which was really, really awesome. That's one of the things that I would like to see as a player. I would like to see the environment interact with the player a lot more. Basically, the game to interact like the show did, and connect with the players a lot more graphically the previous games did. Number 3, story-wise. Come on, guys. I know you can do better than that. I'm expecting a lot more from you. I'm expecting you to actually go along with the story from the anime, or you could come up with your own story, but you gotta kind of pave the way a little bit for a better storyline, one that actually gets the players really engaged. And I know that somewhere deep in your heart, you gotta be a DBZ fan to be actually creating those games. So if the story isn't really compelling, and the previous Dragon Ball Xenoverse wasn't too compelling to me, if I didn't have a compelling story, I'm not gonna really play it all that much. Yes, you did have online multiplayer, and I actually thank you for that. Because of that, we were able to play with different people, and we were also able to play the way that we wanted to play in the way that we so desired. But when it came to story-wise, it almost like, it felt like it was leaving out a lot of things that made us want to play. So if we can make that story a little tiny bit more compelling, then you might get my vote. Now, I'm not talking about President, because number 2, characters and customization, guys. You can involve a lot more characters than what you did. I mean, even the side story characters, you'll have to include that, because I mean, every single bit of the storyline entailed a whole different character. It also involved a lot more customization to the character. I would like to see even the people on the side, like, come on, Nail. Yeah. That guy. Well, you know, he wasn't too important to the series, but he was important to Piccolo's story, because Piccolo needed to basically upgrade himself, so he absorbed Nail. That was pretty crucial, because it also increased his power level. You see, like, all these other side characters that we don't really pay attention to actually have a part in the series that actually connects to each other. And then from that, you know, that's where you start building on the previous topic that I was talking about, which is the story, because it all just kind of interconnects with it. But one of my biggest pet peeves is the fact that I would like to customize my character completely. And I'm talking about from everything from the head to the toes. I'm talking about like my hair. I'm talking about the interactions I have with players. That's really important too. I mean, all that is really crucial to the game. And I think, especially when you have a massive online multiplayer game, that you should be able to interact with your other players, like your friends and whatnot, in a very unique way. So as long as you keep doing that, you'll serve the community of DBZ right. But one note I will note is the fact that when I was playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 on the Xbox One, I did notice, and I did take note of the fact that there was limited customization as far as my abilities went. I was very disappointed with that. Now, I noticed that Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3 didn't really have too much as far as customization went, but I did remember the previous to the Tenkaichi series where Budokai actually had like the capsule system, and I think Tenkaichi also had a capsule system as well, if I'm not speculating here. The capsule system allowed you to build on your character a lot more. Now, what I would like to see in the next Dragon Ball Xenoverse is more building onto the character, because I want to be able to choose Super Saiyan 1 and 2 and not be limited as to how many abilities I could have in my Ki Blasts. I'm pretty sure you game designers out there can make some way or some form of way to switch up like which Ki Blast that you can use. Probably pressing left on the D-pad could switch up which Ki Blast that you want to use. Like, say for instance, Trunks. See, Trunks had his final attack and his burning attack. He also had, I think it was Heating Dome in Tenkaichi 2. You know, if you could switch between those two abilities by using the left on the D-pad, that would be really cool. But you would use the same function for the button in order to use it. I think that would be really awesome. And I think it would be unique to that game, because there's not very many games that do that, except Dark Souls. Dark Souls utilizes that kind because when you're in the screen for item switching, you can actually switch between weapons by pressing left and right on the D-pad. You could switch which items you want to use. So I think that would be very unique to that game if you did imply the system. But since you don't, we're limited, and I hate it. I hate it so much because I want to be able to play as Super Saiyan 1 and have like 5 different abilities that I can use. But no, that's not the way it works, right? Right? And that's not cool. I don't think that's cool. I think that really sucks. That's one thing you need to do, is work on your customization a lot, because players are going to be heavily focused on the way they can customize their own character. And if you're like this guy, you want to be able to create every single inch of your character from head to toe, whether it be abilities, hair, and appearance, and any other items. So that's one big point. Alright, gameplay. This is the single biggest thing I will talk about as my number one. Okay, so number one is gameplay. I would like something more fast-paced. I was actually really mad at the fact that every time I used some sort of ability in Dragonball Xenoverse, I had to wait 10 seconds in order for something to happen. Instant transmission, for example, does not work like this. I'm suddenly there. Really? Come on, man. Have you ever watched anime? I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that. In the DBZ anime, Goku uses instant transmission and he's automatically there. Why in the world does it take about 5 seconds just for me to get from point A to point B? That's not cool. You basically wrecked instant transmission. You basically said instant, took it out and said slow transmission. What is that? That's not cool. And when I charge my attacks, it shouldn't take forever to do that either. And when I do use my attack, there should be a lot bigger of a blast. Like in Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3, those blasts were like phenomenal. Because I mean, even though it did a cutscene, which you guys probably can and can't implement because of certain reasons, but even those cutscenes were awesome. They were very crucial to the gameplay, especially for me, because it was one of the things that was really giving to me as a player, and I really cherish those things right there. If you want to change that aspect, by all means do it, because it will change the gameplay dramatically. Not only that, but the one thing I do want to see is more fast-paced action. It has to be fast-paced. When I'm talking about hitting a person, I'm not talking about slow movement or any of that. When I watch DBZ as an anime and as a little kid, the memories that I have is that Goku was punching freaking Frieza pretty freaking fast, and it wasn't slow-paced at all. But there were a few crucial moments when it came to fighting Frieza. So I'm not gonna lie that some of those moments, like when you're punching somebody and it's a big blow, that it should stop a little bit. That's where it comes into play. But when it comes to fighting, it always has to be fast-paced, especially when it comes to the homing. The homing attack is not really popular, but when I was playing DBZ Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3, I used the homing attack a lot. I used it quite a bit, and so did I use transmission a lot as well. So one of the things that I think you should be working on a lot is your homing. The homing needs to be faster. Needs it. The gameplay needs to be smooth. So do the different variations of blasts need to be smooth as well. Everything needs to interconnect with this game. Otherwise, the game will ultimately fail an aspect of the DBZ fans. And I speak on behalf of all the DBZ fans. And I think the game is going to work a lot better on upcoming consoles, as long as we keep implying the fact that we're upgrading the game and not just rebranding it as a totally different game and adding a few functions, okay? That's what Call of Duty does. And F you, Call of Duty, because you suck. You haven't produced the World at War II that we've been waiting for years. But yet you still want to go in outer space, and everybody is just like, well, we kind of expected it. That shouldn't be our reaction to something like that. And neither should it be our reaction to the DBZ series. That's cool. That's what I want to say. And that's what I want to experience. I want to experience something new, something lively for once, and something refreshing. Because one of my biggest childhood animes and one of my biggest childhood memories was growing up as a DBZ fan and one of the most loved franchises in anime history. Gameplay needs to be changed, or it's just not gonna sell. Not with this fan. Anyways, guys, if you liked this video, go ahead and like it down below. And if you didn't, go ahead and dislike. But if you did, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more content coming soon. Yes, I will actually be doing more news in the future because there is a lot from E3 that is just phenomenal. And I will catch you guys later. Chrome Trigger, I hope I blew your minds off with this one. Pew, pew. Chrome Trigger out.